Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Prattville City Council meeting for this evening. If you'll now stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance for our flag, followed by the invocation tonight given by Councilor Wood. Attention, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Be with us in these chambers as we discuss the city's business. Helps in our prayer, we pray for those who are less fortunate than we are. Here tonight, we pray that you will direct us safely to our destination.
Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Councilman Striplin.
Here.
Councilman Wood.
Here.
Councilwoman Brown. Here. Councilman Miller.
Here.
Councilman Reniger.
Here.
Councilman Bowles.
Here.
Councilman Fank.
Here.
We'll call the meeting to order. The character trait of the month is deference, limiting my freedom so I do not offend the taste of those around me. Fellow councilors, by now you should have received copies of the public hearing and city council meeting minutes from February the 7th, 2012. At this time, the chair will entertain a motion to approve these minutes. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Miller. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Striplin. Are there any amendments, deletions, additions to the minutes that need to be made at this time? All those in favor of approving the minutes signify by raising your right hand, please. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing none, the minutes are approved. This time we'll open the floor up for comments from the folks here in the audience. If you'd like to come and address any of our agenda items tonight, please come forward, but raise your hand to be recognized. This is just for the agenda items tonight. Okay, I see none. We'll move forward with the mayor's report. At this time, I'd like to call on Colonel Bill Gillespie, Jr. to give his report. For those of you who are not aware of it, our mayor was honored by the Alabama Volunteer Guard as an honorary colonel today, so he said, I must respect his rank.
Well, and then some.
Colonel, what do you got to offer to us today?
Well, you know, I've been called quite a bit, but I don't think it's ever been colonel before. But and the rank can be described in several different ways, can't it? But no, seriously, it was an honor this weekend. We had a group of military police come in from Romania, and I was able to show them around our fair city, and they were really impressed with what they saw. And one of the things that I really, I guess, had taken granted for with my small town mentality. You know, I've never pretty much gone anywhere else. I've been outside the United States one time. At that time, I did see some automatic weapons, but you know, I've never been in combat, never been in the service. But I guess I've always taken for granted the freedoms that we have around here. But one of the things that actually amazed them was that a mayor would walk around town without a security force. And I mean, that just, I thought, wow, you know, I've never thought about the hostility that is out there and how fortunate we are that we live in the country that we do. And I really appreciated them bringing that to my attention and how much I had just taken that for granted. But they did enjoy the view of our cities and the freedoms that we take. I shouldn't say we take for granted. I took that one for granted, but they really appreciated the freedoms that we have, and I know that, and if you'll grant me an honor tonight, I have some more veterans from Iraq that I'd like to go ahead and ask them to come forward at this time. But anyway, it's like I mentioned earlier, have never been in the military, but I do appreciate everything that these fine men and women have sacrificed for. But also, I need to mention their family, whereas these men and women here have been on the front line for us and fighting for the freedoms that, like I mentioned earlier, that I have taken for granted, and I really do appreciate you stepping forward like that. But I also want to mention how their families have sacrificed some too. So thank you for the family support that has been given also. But at this time, I'll go ahead and read our commendation. Whereas our nation has fought and continues to fight battles around the world, let us solemnly remember the sacrifices of all those who fought on the seas, in the air, and on the foreign soils to preserve our heritage of freedom, and let us consecrate ourselves to the task of promoting and enduring peace, so that their efforts shall not have been in vain. Whereas we have benefited from the contribution of these willing to depart the comforts of home to answer the call of duty, and our citizens celebrate the service and sacrifice of these servicemen and women as we pay special tribute to these citizens. Whereas the freedoms we enjoy as Americans have been purchased and maintained at a high price throughout our history, whereas we owe a great debt of gratitude to those who have served in defense of this nation. At this point in time, I'd like to call Major Jeremy Chigalo to come forward. Now, therefore, whereas the people of Mayor Prattville wish that the sacrifice of so many in Iraq never be forgotten. Now, therefore, I, Bill Gillespie, Jr., Mayor of the City of Prattville, Alabama, do hereby commend Major Jeremy Chigalo for his sacrifice of multiple tours to Iraq with Delta Force Company 131 Aviation supporting aviation battalions. Jeremy is a living testimony to remind us what is important and what it means to be a hero. Thank you, sir, and thank your family also. Captain Eric Clayson. Now, therefore, I, Bill Gillespie, Jr., Mayor of the City of Prattville, Alabama, do hereby commend Captain Eric Clayson for his sacrifice of multiple tours in the Middle East to include 2 deployments in Iraq while serving active duty surrounding logistics to the U.S. Forces Iraq. Eric is a living testimony to remind us what is important and what it means to be a hero. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Senior Master Sergeant David Scholes, Jr. Now, therefore, I, Bill Gillespie, Jr., Mayor of the City of Prattville, Alabama, do hereby commend Senior Master Sergeant David Scholes, Jr. for his sacrifice of multiple tours in the Middle East to include 2 deployments to Iraq with the 187th Fighter Wing of the Alabama National Guard, inspecting aircraft maintenance. David is a living testimony to remind us what is important and what it means to be a hero. Thank you, sir. Technical Sergeant Ratcliffe. Now, therefore, I, Bill Gillespie, Jr., Mayor of the City of Prattville, Alabama, do hereby commend Technical Sergeant Ratcliffe for her sacrifice of multiple tours in the Middle East to include 2 deployments to Iraq supporting Air Force personnel. Cassandra is a living testimony to remind us of what is important and what it means to be a hero. Thank you. Sergeant Matthew Hust. Now, therefore, I, Bill Gillespie, Jr., Mayor of the City of Prattville, Alabama, do hereby commend Sergeant Matthew Hust for his sacrifice of multiple tours in the Middle East to include 2 deployments to Iraq with the 131st Aviation Battalion with the Army National Guard supporting Black Hawk missions. Matthew is a living testimony to remind us what is important and what it means to be a hero. Thank you, sir. if I could, if I give, I'd come back up for a group photo. If you'll line up right here in front of our fire chief.
While we're doing that, I think we all need to stand and give them a standing ovation for their service. Mayor, before you continue, let me just share with the audience that hearing that little girl say daddy is what service people serving in combat zones long to hear. Brought a tear to my eye, and it's a lot of memories. Thank you for being here, all of you.
Thank you. Give me 1 second, please. Well, I do appreciate the indulgence that you gave me there, but there again, it means a lot to me. They've had a lot of sacrifices there, and this weekend, I've been taught a lot, and I do appreciate everything that they have done. My report tonight is going to be really simple, short. That's probably be a pleasing thing to most everybody. You know, I mentioned earlier about our visit from the Romanian police officers and how much they were amazed how freely we can walk among our streets. They did take a special pleasure in looking at our motorcycles and our police cars, and so anyway, it was a very good, I think, learning tool for them and myself also. But only other things on my report tonight is I hope that we have started a sidewalk project over here on the corner of Main Street in Northington, and then also please notice the work that we continue to do behind City Hall with the gazebo, and in addition to our creek walk. It's coming along quite well, and I really think there will be a lot of enjoyment. I know over the weekend I saw numerous people on our creek walk over here at the Heritage Park, down on the creek bank, and so I think that it's more and more people learning about the little amenity that we have out there, the little jewel that we have, trying to get everybody to recognize and enjoy. The only other thing is that we've had 2 meetings now with our recycling committee. I'll keep everybody informed as we go along with that, but I'd like to re-invite any and all of the council who would like to show up for these meetings. Our next meeting is going to be March 1st at our police department squad room. So if anybody's interested on that, we're open to any and all participation on that and any and all ideas that we have. As far as our resolution, any resolutions that we have on our agenda tonight, I have been asked by the fire chief to hold resolution number 6. And besides that, I'm open for any comments or concerns. If none, I'll go sit down.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
We will now call on our Finance Director, Mr. Doug Mosley, for our financial update. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. I provided everyone with a packet of information to go through. The first sheet in the packet is the revenue report. Gives you the January 2012 numbers compared to the January 2011 numbers. One thing of note would be the lodging tax. You'll notice that is at 29.76% of budget, and it's down 13.32% from last year. More than likely that has to do with one of our hotels being tore down and being rebuilt right now. Let's see. Another thing you might notice is business license. Year to date, it's down 12.90%. That's not an indication of less business license revenue coming in. It's a simple indication that we have less people in the finance department, and those have to be keyed in manually. So because we have less people, it takes longer to get those in. But we haven't seen any indication of any major drop-off in business license revenue. That's pretty much the high notes on the revenues. The next sheet is a tax breakdown comparison. I provided this to you last time that I presented the numbers for December, and this gives you a detailed breakdown on the monthly number that I give you for taxes, exactly where the differences are, what may be lagging a little bit behind, what may be running ahead. So that kind of sheds a little bit of light on that information. The next piece of information in the packet is the expense breakdown by department. Really everything is running at budget or a little bit. The spending is lower than where we should be through the year. We're 33.33% through the year, and many of the expense line items are less than that, which is a very good thing. One thing of note on a lot of these, we have several departments where the benefits percentage is higher than we are through the year. One thing to keep in mind is the amount that we put into the group health account is the amount that's budgeted for the group health account each year. That's how we determine how much the city puts into that account. So we'll never put in more than 100% unless there's some kind of critical need where we have to loan the group health fund money. Pretty much everybody is running right on track on all those. Let's see. The next couple of sheets give you a breakdown on the enterprise funds. I provided one for wastewater and one for sanitation. It's kind of a whole picture for the enterprise fund for each month: October, November, December, and January. It has the revenues and the expenses broken down. The expenses are broken down by salaries, benefits, operating, capital outlay, capital projects, debt, and leases. And then I also have a year-to-date budget and percentage column. And as you can see, most of those line items are running right on track. A couple of pieces of information to pass along. We got the bill in today for RBC for the last bridge loan payment, and we've already cut the check and put it in the mail. So it's gone. Also, in the month of February, we paid off the line of credit, the $1 million line of credit, completely. It is still at zero balance, and so now we can actually use it like a line of credit is supposed to be used and not keep it pegged out all the time. The field work on the audit is complete. I've gotten a draft copy, and I have to say it's very, very encouraging. And quite simply, revenues are greater than expenses, so it shows us digging our way out of the hole. We should have that back very soon. As many of you, I don't know if some of the finance committee members would know this, but when we were going through the decision process on deciding which audit firm we were going to use this year, an award was brought up that several cities in the area have applied for. It's called the GFOA Excellence in Financial Reporting Award. And to get that award, you have to add a lot of extra analytical data to your financial statements. We have actually started the process to do that. It's about 16 pages full of information that has to be added. I've compiled most of that information with the help of the different department heads. I mean, it's everything from personnel numbers for the past 10 years to acreage of parks. I mean, it kind of runs the gamut. But that information will be included in the financial statements, and we'll send those statements off to see if we can achieve that award. Another thing is on our accounts payable, we currently have no open invoices that are for the month of January or older. So we're less than 30 days on all invoices. I know that was a lot of information. Yes, sir.
Okay, now let me make sure that I clearly understand this before we open this up for questions from the councilors, okay? We have made our last bridge loan payment on the November the 1st bridge loan that we had to take out for debt service from November of last year.
Yes, sir.
We are within a 30-day window. Nothing is over 30 days on our accounts payable.
Correct.
We are on track to make sure that we do not have to take out a bridge loan May 1st for our
Correct.
debt service, correct?
Correct.
That's outstanding. Now, do you have a plan to keep our financial train on this track that we got it on, headed in the right direction, so we don't slip off the track again?
I think the biggest thing for us now is how, the different hoops that have to go through, the people have to go through to actually spend money, and we just have to keep that culture of watching every penny and keeping an eye on all the small stuff, because the small stuff adds up, as we all know. And I think doing these reports and airing the different expenses and stuff every month helps that, because it makes everybody aware of where we are. And, a budget's there for a reason. And, we don't want to go over those budgeted amounts, because then that's how we got in the situation we are now.
Let me ask if there are other questions. Are there questions of Mr. Mosley from any of the council? Any member? Councilman Strickland.
Very good report. I have been trying to reconcile in my mind and get a trend line of where the 1 cent sales tax, what collections we've had, less incentives that we had to pay, and then track the 2.5 cent tax the same way. And the information on the large sheet here, where it says sales tax with 2 asterisks, is there something else that's added into that for the total sales tax?
The total tax that you give you guys every month around the first of every month, that is this small sheet. All the pieces that go into that are on this small sheet.
So this is all sales tax then?
All tax. Well, I consider it all tax: rental tax, sales tax, and the ones that were affected by the increase was the rental tax, general sales tax, restaurant, and use tax. Those were the only 4.
Okay, so this sheet would reconcile with what's on the website?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Oh, one other question. Any progress on the financial statements for sanitation and wastewater other than this? A balance sheet, income statement showing reserves?
Well, what we're going to need to do is, because of we haven't got the closing entries for the 2011 yet. Once I get those, I'm going to get with Jackson Thornton to make sure we set the accounting up, set the baseline for the assets and reserve, fund balance and everything up for those funds correctly, because it's not going to be simple to pull those pieces out of the general fund. But I'm trying to let them get the audit done, because that's obviously the most important thing, is to go ahead and get that out. But yes, that's it's not off my radar.
Are you saying there may be some adjustments to the beginning cash balance for these 2 funds?
No, sir. It wouldn't be a cash balance issue. It would be fund balance and accounts payable and that kind of thing. Well, we shouldn't have accounts payable, but things like that would have to be pulled out of the general fund, because it's all kind of smushed together at the beginning, so we have to pull that out. But the cash balance shouldn't be a big deal. I can get that for you.
Well, you've provided that. It's just that one started with 0 cash based on the information you gave me, and another started with about $88,000 in cash. But the projections were significantly more. But I understand there may be adjusting entries. But my concern was starting with 0 when there was supposedly a pretty high net positive revenue there.
There's When we're looking at the zero balance, I was looking at starting with a whole fresh just wastewater fund. But as you know, we have the sewer impact fees. Do we have an account for that? Obviously, those are dedicated to pay the SRF funds, and those are in the wastewater enterprise fund. So I count that as part of that fund. And there's also a wastewater equipment fund that we have set aside also. And all the two of those together, along with the separate enterprise fund account, I consider as cash for that enterprise fund.
Sanitation treated the same way.
The sanitation fund, it only has that one account. So it started at zero balance.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any questions? Councilor Miller?
And I guess I would pick up to a degree on these enterprise fund statements for wastewater and sanitation, and just reiterate that the sooner you can get these sort of finalized in terms of where we are with them and the ongoing monitoring, I think that would serve us well, because we're really, I think, embarking in the right direction with creating these two enterprise funds. And I don't want to steal Councilman Stripling's thunder, his report, but we had a really good meeting this morning with some of the wastewater management. And it just reiterated in my mind how important this is. So I'm glad to hear you say as soon as the audit portion's finished that you're going to go ahead and I call it finalizing, but finalizing where you're starting out in terms of this process. And on the same note, I'm going to go ahead and say that I think, you know, you learn from history and look at better ways to skin the cat, but I would really want to remind everybody how critically important it is to be mindful of the integrity of what we're attempting to do here in terms of keeping these funds truly discrete enterprise funds. And the other thing I wanted to ask you about is the status of the health care, employee health care fund.
The city still does owe money to that fund. I believe the balance is around $400 and something, some odd $1,000 right now.
That's the balance that we owe, or the balance?
That's the balance that's in that account right now. But the city still does owe money to that, and we're continuing to pay on that.
And how much do we owe? What would be the?
I think the balance that we owe right now is right at $1 million, and that's through February.
Okay, so it's $1.4 million would get us to where we should be.
Correct.
Okay. And obviously you made a lot of progress from zero or negative in terms of the balance there, so I applaud you for that. And I'm going to echo Councilman Reniger's sentiment that what you gave us in terms of your report on a lot of fronts is extremely encouraging, and I appreciate, you know, your work to bring these figures to us, but I'm even more, I guess, I'm just glad we're where we are and that the tide is sort of turned and we're starting to move in that direction in a meaningful way. So I appreciate it.
Councilor Wood?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Doug, thank you for your report. Just a couple of questions I want to make sure I had a right understanding, especially when it comes to wastewater, enterprise fund, and sanitation. The income from the wastewater and sanitation, is it part of our general fund right now?
No, sir.
Okay.
Every dime that comes in doesn't touch, from the wastewater, does not touch the general fund. It goes directly into the wastewater bank account.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further questions? Councilor Bowles?
Yes, sir. I do appreciate these reports. I'm very, very ecstatic over the situation that we have got ourselves out of, or getting ourselves out of, I should say. Thank you for your hard work. But could you go over the, you mentioned something in the middle of all this about something you're going for where you're filling out 16 pages of reports. What is that again?
It's the GFOA, it's Government Finance Officers Association Excellence in Financial Reporting Award.
When you have all of this information, is there a way we can get it to Teresa Lee and get it online for the public to see?
It will be part of the financial statement.
So,
all that data will be in the financial statements.
Okay, so we can get it online for the public to see.
Yes, it will all be together.
So you're telling me you're going 110% above. Thank you.
Any further questions of Mr. Mosley? Mayor, did you have something to add? Or should I refer to you as Colonel?
The mayor reminded me of something. We have all of the requests for funding that we've gotten from community initiatives for the first and second quarter have all been paid except for one, and we're waiting on a little bit of information to complete a contract. So those have all been paid also.
Well done. Any further questions, comments? Thank you, Mr. Mosley. Very good report. This time we'll go into reports from council members on special committees. Councilor Strickland.
Yes, sir. As mentioned earlier, the wastewater committee did have a meeting today, and we believe that progress is being made on developing a master plan. Also, to the council, quite possibly at our next meeting, some legislation will be presented concerning a subdivision that's adjacent to the city, but is currently outside the city limits. And with our moratorium on annexation, we have an issue to deal with, but we think it's a positive situation. So we'll enlighten you with that as time goes on. Thank you.
Councilor Wood.
No.
Councilor Brown.
No.
Councilor Miller.
Just to repeat, I think the mayor mentioned this, but on item number 6, I'm going to, after we introduce it, make a motion to hold this. I guess at the direction of the fire chief, I'll determine how long to hold it. But the issue is that there are just a few unresolved questions regarding liability coverage for this individual in terms of the service he would provide to the city. So that's the basis of making the motion to hold.
Councilor Bowles.
No, sir.
Councilor Fink.
Yes, Leisure Services Committee met, I guess a week ago Monday, and we do support item 2 and 4 on the agenda. Item 2 is a budgeted item. It's just due to the hiring freeze, we need to get this before us, so that's it.
Finance Committee met last week. Among the many things that we discussed from a financial standpoint, we do concur with the Leisure Services Committee and recommend to the council body that resolution number 2 be approved. We also discussed some equipment and supply needs for urban management, and we'll be coming forth with recommendation on that probably in our next meeting after urban management has a chance to touch bases with the Leisure Services Committee. Once again, kudos to Mr. Mosley on a fine report. It's good to see that we're back on track financially speaking. We'll move into our agenda now. The first agenda item is a resolution to authorize the demolition of the structure at 261 10th Street at a cost not to exceed $2,488. Councilor Wood, will you introduce this resolution, please?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Whereas under the authority of Title 11, Chapter 53B of the Code of Alabama, 1975, as amended, the Prattville Planning Department declared the structure at 261 10th Street to be unsafe and a public nuisance. And whereas on December 13, 2011, the Prattville Planning Department ordered the demolition of the structure at 261 10th Street by January 30, 2010. And whereas the Prattville Planning Department's order was delivered by certified mail to the last known property owners and to all parties having interest in the property. And whereas Ms. Melissa Bishop appealed the Planning Department's order and received a hearing before the City Council on February 7, 2012, now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Prattville that 1, the structure located at 261 10th Street are unsafe and a public nuisance that must be repaired or demolished as instructed by the Prattville Planning Department's orders. 2, the mayor is authorized and instructed to remove the unsafe structure at 261 10th Street and shall present the City Council with a detailed list of the cost of removal. And 3, a contract in the amount of $2,488 is awarded to David Bulger Incorporated, and said funds are hereby approved and appropriated from FY 2012 budget line item Planning Department dilapidated house demolition. Be it further resolved that no action shall be taken by the mayor or his designees to remove the structure at 261 10th Street before May 1, 2012. Mr. Chair, I so move.
Councilor Wood has moved this resolution for approval. Is there a second? Second by Councilor Fink. Is there any discussion on this proposed resolution?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Councilor Wood.
Thank you. As you all are all aware, Ms. Bishop came before us on February the 7th, and what we're actually doing now, we're just giving her a little bit more time to see if she can accommodate this on her own. As you can see, a contract is already in place, so once May 1st gets here, if it's not done, we'll just move forward with what we have already in order here. So I urge the council to pass this resolution, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Wood. Is there any other comments on this proposed resolution? Seeing no more, all those in favor of adopting this resolution signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing none, the resolution is adopted. Item number 2 is a resolution to authorize the hiring of seasonal leisure services employees at a cost not to exceed $84,777. Councilman Fink, will you introduce this resolution, please?
Whereas the City of Prattville Leisure Services Department has seasonal programs such as summer day camps, swimming pool programs, and sports programs which require the hiring of seasonal employees. And whereas the City Council of the City of Prattville has implemented a hiring freeze, and whereas the cost of such workers for the remainder of the budget year will not exceed $84,777 for salaries and benefits. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Prattville that up to $84,777 is hereby authorized to be expended for the purpose of hiring seasonal leisure services employees, and said funds are hereby approved and appropriated from FY 2012 budget line items, Leisure Services Department salaries and wages, workman's compensation, and FICA. Be it further resolved by the City Council of the City of Prattville that the Human Resources Department is authorized to implement the hiring process as budgeted. So moved.
Councilor Fink has moved this resolution for adoption. Is there a second? Second. Second by Councilor Strickland. Is there any discussion on this proposed resolution? Councilor Wood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just for the sake of public knowing and individuals, this total of $84,777 could be thought of as 2 or 3 employees. So, Lisa, will you tell us exactly how many so they can be aware? I think probably 15 or more. How many employees total?
That budget is for 34 employees.
Thank you.
Any further comments, questions pertaining to this resolution? All those in favor of adopting this resolution signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing none, this resolution is adopted. Item number 3 is an ordinance to surplus 1 vehicle from the fire department. Councilor Bowes, will you introduce this ordinance, please?
Be ordained by the City Council of the City of Prattville of Alabama as follows: that the vehicle listed below is hereby declared surplus of Leisure Service Department and is to be removed from the inventory of said department. A 1993 Ford F-350, VIN number 1FDKF37M7PNA85946. Be it further ordained that the City Council is instructed to the mayor to sell said vehicle through goversdeal.com and that the proceeds be deposited in the general fund. I so move.
Councilor Bowes has moved this ordinance. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Wood. By point of order, this is an ordinance and must carry over to our next regularly scheduled meeting unless there is a motion to suspend the rules. Moved by Councilor Miller. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Wood. Is there any discussion on the motion to suspend the rules?
Point of order. Was
Councilor
that
Strickland.
ordinance number 4 or number 3 that was read?
It should be out, Councilor.
was so excited that we're getting done so early. I was trying to move the process along faster.
I'm flexible. We can go from 4 to 3 if you choose.
Can we do 4 and then?
Yeah.
We can pass what he read, right?
That's what we will do. We'll make a judgment call and call up number 4 since that's what was read. And there's been a motion to suspend the rules on number 4, and it's seconded. Is there any other comments or suggestions or questions about the move to suspend the rules? All those in favor of suspension of the rules, raise your right hand, please. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing none, the rules are suspended and this ordinance is properly before us. Are there any other questions on this proposed ordinance? All those in favor of approving this ordinance signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing none, the ordinance is passed and approved. And that is item number 4. No. I don't think so. You only get one bite on that apple. What I will do, though, is I will ask Councilor Brown to introduce the next item, which is an ordinance to surplus one vehicle from the fire department. Councilor Brown. Yes, we're on number 3 now.
Okay. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Prattville, Alabama as follows, that the vehicle listed below is hereby declared surplus of the fire department and is to be removed from the inventory of the said department. 1994 Ford F-350, VIN 1FDKF37 M7RN B66447. Be it further ordained that the City Council instructs the mayor to sell said vehicle through govdeals.com and that proceeds be deposited into the general fund. So moved.
Councilor Brown has moved this ordinance for approval. Is there a second? Second. Second by Councilor Fink. By point of order, this is an ordinance and must hold to our next regularly scheduled meeting unless there is a move to suspend the rules.
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Wood. Is there a second? Second. Second by Councilor Bowes. Is there any discussion about the motion to suspend the rules? Seeing none, all those in favor of suspending the rules on this ordinance signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing none, the rules are suspended and the ordinance is properly before us. Is there any further discussion on the proposed ordinance? All those in favor of adopting this ordinance signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing none, this ordinance is also approved. Now we'll drop down to number 5. It's a resolution to appoint Joe Mathis to the Airport Authority. Councilman Strickland, will you introduce this resolution, please?
Yes, sir. Whereas a vacancy currently exists on the Airport Authority due to the resignation of Jack Hale on February the 14th, 2012. And whereas it is the desire of the City of Prattville, the Prattville City Council, to fill that vacancy to ensure the continuity of the board's operation. Be it therefore resolved by the City Council of the City of Prattville, Alabama, that Joe Mathis is hereby appointed to fill the vacancy effective immediately, and said term will expire on June the 16th, 2014, or until his successor is duly qualified and appointed. So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Councilor Strickland has moved this resolution for adoption. Is there a second? Second by Councilor Fink. Is there any discussion on this proposed resolution? Seeing none, all those in favor of adopting this resolution signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? I see none. This resolution is adopted. Last item on our agenda is item number 6. It's a resolution to authorize the mayor to enter into a medical director services agreement with Dr. Julian Mahaganasan. How do you pronounce that? Mahaganasan? Is that close enough? Okay. Very well. Let the record so state. At a cost not to exceed $3,000. Councilor Miller, will you introduce this resolution, please?
Whereas Section 22-18-1 of the Code of Alabama 1975 requires the ambulance service to have a service medical director, and whereas the same section requires that all advanced life support ambulance services have an offline physician medical director, and whereas Dr. Julian Mahaganasan will serve as the service medical director and the offline physician as required in Exhibit A at a cost not to exceed $3,000, now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Prattville hereby approves the agreement with Dr. Julian Mahaganasan retroactive to January 1st, 2012, and shall continue thereafter until December 31, 2012, unless sooner terminated in accordance with the provisions outlined in the agreement. Be it further resolved that $3,000 is hereby authorized to be expended, and said funds are hereby approved and appropriated from fiscal year 2012 budget line items, fire salaries and wages, medical review physician. Be it further resolved that the City Council of the City of Prattville does hereby authorize, empower, and instruct the Mayor of the City of Prattville to execute said medical director services agreement for and on behalf of the City of Prattville. Mr. President, I so move.
Councilor Miller has moved this resolution for adoption. Is there a second? Is there a second to the resolution? Second. Second by Councilman Fink. Any discussion on this proposed resolution? Councilor Miller.
Yes, Mr. President, for the aforementioned reasons, I would like to move that we hold this resolution for 2 weeks until our next regularly scheduled meeting to give the city attorney and others time to work out a few minor details regarding the liability insurance.
Councilor Miller has moved that we hold this resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Wood. Is there any discussion on the motion to hold? Councilor Miller?
I think I jumped the gun and did the discussion when I made the motion, so no further discussion.
Okay. All those in favor of holding this resolution to our next regularly scheduled meeting signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing none, we will hold this resolution. That exhausts our agenda. At this time, we will open the floor up for anyone in the audience that would like to address the council on any item of business tonight. Is there anyone that would like to come before the council and address any item of business? Seeing none. Mayor, do you have a closing report or comments?
Yes, sir. Just like to say that I was able to spend quite a bit of time today with Councilor Brown, and I enjoyed that. We were able to, we were at a League of Cities meeting over in Montgomery. We were able to get to know each other a little bit better there, and I think we learned quite a bit. The morning went very, very well until we had lunch and got some reports from the state, which sort of messed up the rest of my afternoon. But besides that, I learned quite a bit from it. We also went on to meet with Representative Beckman, and on that we talked about several items: the de-annexation, the recycling, and traffic-like issues that they were bringing before the committee there. And I encourage everyone here to call him if you have any concerns on any of these items. We also spent some time with Senator Taylor, and very enjoyable there. But that's all the report I have on that one. But moving back to the report that Doug Mosley brought before us tonight, I also want to thank all the department heads and employees, because without all their efforts to keep our expenditures to a very minimum, to the very necessities, I think that has helped Doug Mosley to come up here and present a very favorable report for us. And it has been I like to have those favorable reports, so please keep those going. In closing, Arbor Day, we have a recognition of it on February the 28th. 10 a.m. directly behind us, behind City Hall at the gazebo. Please join us there. And then also we have our State of the City address that I'm bringing here to these council chambers this Thursday at 6 p.m. Please be there if you can. But besides that, look forward to enjoying each and as many of you guys and get ready to go eat supper with me tonight.
Councilor Striplin.
Very briefly, I too express appreciation to all the city department heads and employees for helping hold things together and keep us moving forward. Thank you.
Councilor Wood? Councilor Brown?
I just wanted to say thank you to the department heads and employees and other councilmen that have been so helpful, and the mayor's office to help to bring me up to speed. And I'll be meeting with some of you that I haven't met with yet, and I look forward to it. So thank you.
Councilor Miller?
I appreciate Councilman Striplin's report on our wastewater committee meeting. I want to take the opportunity to again reiterate that I think it went well and we're on the right track with the plan that we're looking for, that is really a multi-year plan and covers both the financial side but the program kind of operational side as well. So thank you, Rick, especially for your role in leadership in that regard. But I also would share that Albert, in his new role as chair of that committee with Councilman Argo's departure, we're talking about the importance of doing a similar approach in terms of on the operational side with the sanitation department as well, which falls under that committee. So we'll be talking more about that and bringing to the council's information in that regard.
Councilor Bowles?
No, sir.
Councilor Fink?
Yes, just one thing. I will not be able to be here Thursday, so please don't take that personal at all. I already had an engagement to be out of town for a couple of days, so that's the reason I won't be here Thursday. And I will be out of pocket a good bit next week. So if, Albert, if you would like to call or have me call a Leisure Services Committee meeting, and so that we don't miss the ball for the next meeting, I'll be happy to do that. If you just tell me when, and if you could kind of lead it, that would be fantastic. I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Mayor, I look forward to your State of the City address Thursday night because I've got a lot of questions I'm going to be asking to get answers for. And I know other citizens will as well. Let me just add my kudos to those of you who are the department heads and the employees that you supervise on a daily basis. You're doing an outstanding job. Just keep up the good work. We're very proud of you. That being said, our next regularly scheduled meeting is Tuesday, March the 6th, 2012, 6 p.m. in the council chambers. This time the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn has been moved. Is there a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye. We are adjourned.